Hey, I'm back. All right, let's talk about our good friend Grant Cardone today. I'm on my daily walk again, so I'm a little bit out of breath, as you can see, because I'm going uphill, so just bear with me. Hopefully you'll understand everything I have to say. Yeah, Grant Cardone, well, he's an interesting cat. People, say, oh, Grant Cardone is a scam, and he's full of you-know-what, and you can't really get results by following him or, doing what he proposes. And yeah, probably they are half right, because his advice is geared towards people that are like him, which means very hyper and very manic in personality. I mean, you can see this in his talks, that he's quite manic. Certain days are worse than other days, and sometimes he appears like he's on coke, and I don't mean Coca-Cola. And yeah, I mean, he's quite manic sometimes, and his advice is sort of geared towards people like him. He's basically giving advice to himself, and his advice can be basically boiled down to hard work and all the time. And that's really not my forte that much. I mean, I work very hard, but probably not as hard as he does, because I delegate a lot. He has a huge staff, not huge, but he has a quite substantial staff. So I'm sure he delegates a lot too, but he's sort of more of a control freak than I am. I thought that I was a control freak, but he's 10 times worse. But what you want, what you really want to hear is his advice good, and will it drive you to success if you listen to his advice, or if you're gonna fail? Basically, does his advice work? Well, of course it does. His advice works, but there's a caveat. You would have to be a high energy person with a lot of manic drive, like him. I mean, sometimes he appears like, he reminds me of that squirrel in that cartoon. What was it called, with Bruce Willis? Over the Hedge, right? Something like that? Yeah. Like all over the place. I mean, his synapses are firing constantly, bam, 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 bam. And he goes from one thing to another. None of his talks are sort of very coherent and very clear, and you can't really follow his train of thought very well, because he's all over the place. I mean, his ideas are just popping up, sort of like me, but at the same time a lot worse. So his advice is geared more towards people with high energy and more manic type of personalities. And if you like that, his advice is going to be perfect for you. The one thing I like about him is that he's very enthusiastic and very positive, which means that he doesn't get deterred very often. This is probably a result of his belief or his religion, because he's a Scientologist, and they believe all sorts of kooky stuff and all sorts of stuff that the founder of Scientology, I don't know what his name was, some fat guy, he basically was trying to create perfect slaves for himself. So he emphasized hard work a lot because, he wanted people to work hard for him for free so he would have a good life, which, I tip my hat for that hassle, for that hustle. I tip my hat for that hustle, but that's not really an honest man, that's not really a good man for scamming people like that. But anyway, doesn't matter. It seems to have helped Grant Cardone in his mentality of hard work. So whatever works, even if a bad thing works for you and brings a good result, that's fine. So if you are a very high energetic person, you will get a lot from him. But if you're more relaxed, then probably you can adapt his advice to relax more, My philosophy is 50% YOLO and 50% working on your goals. It's quite windy today, so I think I will have to buy that dead cat and put it on, because otherwise you're not gonna hear me, because you're gonna hear only the wind. But back to Grant Cardone. Well, I think his advice, as I said, his advice is good, but only for certain high energy people. My philosophy is 50% a day, each day, YOLO, and 50% hard work towards my future. Because let's say you get sick tomorrow and you get cancer, you're gonna die, whatever. I don't want you to get cancer, obviously. But, let's say it does happen. You're gonna kick yourself for not enjoying your life as well. It's fine working hard towards your future, but at the same time you have to live a little. So when you're on your deathbed, you say, oh, it wasn't so bad, I had fun, I did my things, I achieved quite a lot, and I had fun at the same time. So that's the life that I'm after. I'm not after a life where I work 24/7 like a maniac like he does, because that suits his personality. He enjoys hard work, he enjoys that stuff, and I enjoy it too. But at the same time, I like to have leisure as well. He finds leisure in work and his projects, but I find leisure in other things, not in work. So you have to adapt his advice to your personality. Otherwise, you're going to be miserable. I guarantee you're going to be miserable working all the time. So yes, his advice works. As it comes to his sales advice is good, but you don't have to spend thousands of dollars getting his Cardone University or whatever he calls it, which probably he's going to have some issues with the regulators calling it a university. Just call it U like everybody else does, you're not going to have any problems. And you don't have to spend that much money on Cardone and sales training, because you can get all that he talks about. The good thing is he goes through scripts. Basically, he goes through scripts that he uses. That's a good thing. But you can make your own script, because whatever you sell is not going to be the same that he says. His scripts are not going to be applicable to you. So you're going to have to adapt them anyway. So you might as well get yourself new scripts and adapt them, or write your own. So I wouldn't spend money on his Cardone U to learn sales from him. Just buy some books. Probably everything that he talks about is encapsulated in the book Spin Selling anyway. I think it's by a guy called Neil Rachman or something like that. Anyway, just search it on the internet. It's called Spin Selling. And basically the whole methodology is written in that book. You don't have to spend money on Cardone. So then you go online, get some scripts that are industry relevant to you and adapt them to your own, you know, and write the scripts in accordance to spin selling, okay? So that's it. That's what we did. And it's working very, very, very nicely. Before I was just, we were just winging it, you know? At the beginning, I was doing the emailing and the calling, and I was just winging it. And I had, you know, hit and miss success. But once I started implementing spin selling, you know, mindset and adapting my scripts to spin selling, you know, our sales went up by 100%. Now they're up by 300, 400%. I don't know exactly what it is right now, but it's probably, I don't know, 1,000% before. It's not only to spin selling, it's just basically growing the company, having more clients, and clients recommending other clients, you know, for an exchange, for a fee and stuff like that. So we're growing that way, not just because of spin selling, but spin selling will get you started, okay? So you don't have to spend any money on Cardone U. I'm repeating myself so much because I've learned that if you repeat yourself, it might be annoying to people, but it sticks. It sticks in your mind better than just saying it once. So that's it. If you're a high energy, hyper sort of guy like he is, you know, follow him and it'll be great. But if you're more relaxed like me, just do as I told you. Just adopt his philosophy, pare it down a little bit, and get some books on selling. I recommend spin selling, and do your scripts and go do it. The thing is that if you want, aside from sales training, if you want to be, you know, if you want to have some elan, which means, you know, you want to get some drive to achieve things, then I would suggest sort of forgetting and ignoring all the videos that he puts out and all his materials. I would just forget about all that and just listen to one video of his, just one, and just listen to it maybe every week, you know, maybe twice a week, once a week, whatever. Just listen to it regularly and it'll give you huge drive. The video is called, I think, 8 hours of the best of Grant Cardone, something like that. It's on YouTube. 8 hours of Grant Cardone, I think it's called, or the best of Grant Cardone. Doesn't matter. 8 hours of Grant Cardone. Just search for that. And that video is his best work ever because it's a compilation of his talks, his paid talks, and that will get you fired up for sure. But all the other stuff, you know, following him daily, you know, you're gonna get more confused than anything, you know. Just listen to that once a week, twice a week, and do your stuff, you know. Do the steps that will get you to your goal. That's it. So, see you next time. Cheers.